very campus-like introduction of the co-working plans to the co-working roundtable where we have Christoph Wahler from the Beta House here in Berlin, Olivia, I don't dare to pronounce her last name, from Utopicus in Madrid, and I'm Ramon from Beta Group Co-working in Brussels. These are three of the leading spaces in Europe, and what we're going to do is we're going to go over the whole thing about co-working. Please don't hesitate to interrupt us, ask questions, shout Pachi if you want during the presentation, and just be part of it. In co-working, we don't like to make things one-sided, so as the more you can participate and be part of it, the better it will be. Christoph is going to start by asking you a few questions, and then we'll head.
It is on. Oh, yeah. So, good morning. Can you actually hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It's much better than it seems from here because there are so many people around and talking. I have a couple of questions which involve your participation because we need to get to know a little bit more about you. So everybody get up, please. I'm sorry, the laptops have to stay. So quickly get up. Stop coding for a moment. Yeah, exactly. We are not doing gymnastics, but I want to know. Maybe you also get up. It's an order. Just very quickly. Who of you owns a co-working space? Who of you owns a co-working space? So, who owns a space? Sit down, please. Okay. And who of you works in a co-working space? Okay. Sit down, please. Who of you plans to work in a co-working space in the future? Sit down. Everybody who plans to work, sit down. What the fuck are you doing? Okay, now we know more or less who you are. Thank you very much. You all can sit down. And now it's our turn.
Okay, so I see that most people here know what co-working is about. I don't think we should go over. Does anybody not know what co-working is? We're not going to ask. I may come and ask you if you give the definition. So basically, co-working is a way of sharing an office space for professionals, but it goes beyond that. It builds upon the community to bring more value to the users. And it's just because a lot of us are professionals that are entrepreneurs or freelancers, and we have all worked from home, and we see that it's much better to work independently, but not alone. I don't know if my colleagues have any special view on this, because co-working is a topic that can get controversial depending on who you talk with. There's people that are much more business-minded, people that are more ideologically minded, and that changes a lot what the discussion is about. You guys?
I think we can say that co-working came as well from a social economical change. So we have a necessity to gather and to increase our social network and professional network, and that's what co-working brings to us.
I invented co-working. Thank you for joining in. It was really, I didn't believe it in the beginning. No, but it's actually, we thought we invented it, but a lot of people think so. And we called it Beta House, and we did it because we hated to think that we work in a big office for a big company, and we hated to think that we work at home. It was a couple of friends, and that's why we just opened up a space and invited friends to work. And when I look at it today, it's really strange because it's a business and it's like huge. Everybody knows it. If it was like 3 years ago, like half of you would have said, I don't, or 5 years ago, I don't know it. What is it? It's a shared office or so. And so I think, I don't know what it is still, but I think it's big. So that is what I know. And if the moderator decides to do something else, I can tell you about my summer holidays. No. So, you don't don't listen to me. Okay, I give you the microphone.
Basically, you say where the co-working was born and when? Okay, because officially co-working was born about 7 years ago in the USA, but unofficially there's been people that have been trying to do things like this for more time. They just didn't know what it was, they didn't have a name for it, it was just people trying to cooperate and put something together, and then they found out that there was a term about it. One thing that co-working is not, and you see a lot of people saying co-working is like, what co-working is not is a magical word that will suddenly you can use and you will fill up all the unused office space you have around you. There's lots of people that are now downsizing, for example, or business centers that say, hey, we do co-working, come to us. And all they do is they offer you a big table, some chairs, and you're a second class, some kind of second class client. They don't put anything on building the community or doing anything to help the co-workers, the members, gain more value professionally and personally. And there's a lot of places where we're seeing this being used just as some kind of magical word, instead of using the term of what they do, which is hot desking or flexidesk. We don't think that co-working is either is a trend. I think there's something that is much more, it's not something that is going to go away, and it's something that is just going to stay because of different reasons. We all have different opinions here. I think it has to do with the change in the work paradigm. So right now, more and more people are working independently, or the structures of companies are being made with much smaller teams that reach a bigger audience and that don't have the same status quo needs that all the former or more traditional corporations have. And this is one of the reasons we think that co-working is gonna be a long-lasting movement. It's because there's more and more people that need it and want it and that get value from it. I don't know, what do you guys think about it? Do you think co-working is a fad?
The word co and crowd is going to be a fad. Because everything now it's co and crowdfunding, co-working, collaboration, and maybe we will have to invent another one.
So the question was, I think you can hear us better than us ourselves, but the question was if it's a fashion, right? And I think it is pretty fashionable, but it's just, I mean, it's sometimes a fashion becomes a fact later on if it stays for a long time. And so I believe it's just the way we work together now, and there will be more and more people working like this. But my personal question is, so we figured out how to rent buildings and put desks in and have a nice time there, but what will be after, what is coming up now? How will we manage the collaboration, and how will we work together with bigger companies as individuals? And yeah, so that's my question for the future of co-working. Do you have any thoughts on that, maybe?
I think the future of co-working is diversity. Yes, you can. I mean, you all knows about co-working.
Hi, I'm Brent from Slovakia. I run a co-working space in Eastern Slovakia, and my experience was that as I came back from capital to the small city, that a lot of artists came to the place. And as I am kind of geek and working with IT, etc., my question would be, is there a possibility to connect like the artists, like music makers, video makers, with the IT geeks, etc.? So that's my question.
Connect all together, the co-working spaces or the co-workers?
The co-workers itself. Okay. I have a case study in my hometown, regarding
Yes.
artists?
For example, in Utopicus, we just launched the virtual co-working platform. So everybody can be a virtual co-worker, and you can connect and talk and collaborate with other co-workers online and meet them. And that's the idea of like, there is no more frontier, barriers. You can be like worldwide co-worker, and that's really the value of collaborating.
I know that Desquad is something like this, doing like this. Maybe do you want to explain a little really quickly? If you like, I don't know. It's your holiday, I know.
Sorry, I'm just going to mouthful. So basically what Desquad is, some of you might be familiar with it if you own a co-working space. It's an online platform to find co-working spaces. And recently we've launched a management system, and we're constantly building those tools to help it make it more comprehensive. And in the future, what we hope to do is to be able to create an online network of global co-workers, similar to what you're doing with Utopicus, but for Utopicus, you need to be very much involved with Utopicus. What Desquad is trying to do is to connect people from lots of different places. But this is very much in the future, so yeah, this is quite a way away. So what we're focusing on at the moment is sort of the management tools. This is going to come later.
All co-working spaces at the end are collaborative spaces where you're going to have a lot of different kinds of breeds of professionals that are there and they're going to be exchanging. So there's always going to be exchanges happening and things going on. I went to the Beta House on Tuesday and I met a movie director that took a few pictures of me and just sent them to me. It's the one I'm using for the presentation. You know, and it depends also a bit on the personality of the space. There's spaces that are much more artistically inclined, like Utopicus, and other ones that, like ours, that is much more web design or internet business oriented. So we'll find, the thing is that you will find more professionals of one kind or the other, and they are looking to collaborate and to find people with whom to work, so it shouldn't be that difficult.
At the same time, there is the virtual co-working, but as well as the physical one. For example, with Beta House, Utopicus and Beta House are going to do a interchange or exchange of co-workers. 17 co-workers from Utopicus going to go to Beta House to work with co-worker there and to know the co-working life in Beta House. And after 1 month, co-worker Beta House is going to come in Madrid, and that's the idea of the virtual, as Ramon said, the virtual has to be physical at the same time. And that's a normal life. We need to network physically.
Yes, I wanted to tell a small story about virtual and physical, because we do a lot of events at Beta House, and we always have the problem to communicate them to the people. So we have a newsletter for those who only read newsletters. We have Twitter and Facebook for those who are on Twitter and Facebook, and we inform them about events and workshops. And we do have posters everywhere. Maybe a little bit chaotic, but we put them in the elevator. Something like a workshop is coming up next week. So the problem is, none of this really works. A couple of people read the newsletter, but I don't know how about you. I just put them in spam always. And what really works is it takes 5 minutes to go through the co-working space and tell people, hey, there's a yoga session going on upstairs in half an hour, and you have 20 to 50 people in 5 minutes who join you, and the physical contact is why we are in the world, and we have our hands and stuff. So this is actually what I think is the most important. All the virtual stuff, I think we are getting a little bit sick of it, and we need to get more physical. Tilo really likes all of things. Yeah, so we really need more interaction with the like physical interaction, in my opinion.
For example, Christoph, you have the Beta House is already a network of co-working spaces, so that changes the picture a lot. You have an opportunity to network within your own spaces. Is there a lot of like people traveling from city to city and working really on two or more spaces, or is it just very sporadic and rare?
just said like Beta House has a network of spaces so they can network, but that's kind of wrong because we are a co-working community and we have like this co-working visa and stuff like that, and it's very easy to go to other places, just say I'm co-working. Everybody will be welcoming, you can stay there for free for a couple of days. Most places will do that, so we shouldn't forget that we already have like a big social network, and it's just we are co-workers.
Yeah, we're part of the co-working visa too, and we have done exchanges. We do special exchanges among us with Jaime, who is here from a working company in Sevilla. We have already sent somebody for a week to his space, no problem. It works, but the nature of the experience change when you feel you belong. When you belong to co-working community, it's much more abstract space. It's a much more abstract idea than belonging to the beta house. So that's why I would like to see if that has an effect on the users of the beta houses.
Sorry, I'm just going to interject. I think it's really important what you're saying, and I completely agree with you. But I think co-working spaces need to work a lot harder at making their co-workers realise that they're a part of that network, because studies show that around 80% of co-workers don't even know that the co-working visa exists. And this is a really invaluable resource. So I think the next challenge for co-working spaces is to actually get together, to actually communicate and collaborate, and to work with their biggest resource, which is communities. And if we can connect artistic and technical communities all over the world, that's where, you know, real cool things start to happen. But until that happens, like, I think it's a wasted resource.
It's actually quite hard to get people, I mean, although there's always this idea of yourself working on the Philippines last week, then going to Barcelona, afterwards moving to Berlin for a new project. It happens, but it happens, it's like the tip of the iceberg. Iceberg? You know what I mean, the tip, just a small part. And so what we try to do to support this is we try to do projects together, like with Utopicus. We do this exchange in September, and we want to see what's coming out, because in the end the idea is nice to be able to work everywhere, but the practical solution, I mean, in the practical life, you just need to get your work done and go to work every day, and so there is an unbalance between the wish and the reality. But also, what the second thing we try to do is to we have a kind of what is more, I mean, to be able to connect a community, we need to connect the co-working spaces before in a better way. And what we are doing something like a weekly call between the co-working hosts in all the cities where a beta house is, and also maybe in the future with other spaces, to talk about what's going on in the co-working space, and to talk about maybe members of the community from one co-working space that might need the help of people from another co-working space. And I think if the co-working managers and owners, they work a little bit more on networking, and this, I mean, more than just meeting once or twice a year and talking about the theory of co-working. I mean, really, I'm talking about projects. Then there is a chance that the collaboration also between the communities can work, and that is what I think is kind of also part of the future, because today all the co-working space owners I know, they are struggling to make the Wi-Fi work, including us. They work a lot on really like the stuff on site, and they don't have time also to think about calling in Rio de Janeiro and looking what co-working spaces there are. So this is something for the future, and we need to find a way for that.
I think that's the idea of what Utopicus is doing with the co-working virtual and the SMAC, because the thing is that, as you say, space manager cannot be in charge of everything. So you have to ask co-worker to do it by themselves, because in Utopicus, for example, we are communicating all the time everything, and sometimes co-worker told you just that, I didn't know that exists, but oh, is it possible? It's everywhere, you know? And it's just because sometimes they just need to work, you know, they have a lot of work and they are working there, so they're not just doing network. So I think the virtual platform, it's about that, because a coworker can check all the coworkers that have a space, and they just can say, okay, this co-working is interesting for me because he's a web designer, I just need one. He lives in New York, I don't care, I'm just going to contact him. But we don't have like co-working managers, like the manager don't have to do the work to find these co-workers from outside for their co-workers, so they can just do it by themselves.
Something that is very important when we're talking about collaboration is that it has to do with purpose. Purpose has to do with the person itself, what that person wants to do professionally and personally. And a lot of times that is also linked to the co-working space itself, because every co-working space has a different personality. The Beta Group co-working, it's focused on everything that is technology, with a very broad range of people working there. And we welcome everybody. But our community, the Beta Group, existed before the co-working space was open. Our community of over 5,000 members, it's focused on technology startups. And that has an impact on the kind of people that come to our space and how we focus the space. We wanted to provide a solution for the professionals around us and even ourselves that were struggling to find a place that will help them grow professionally and personally and grow their network on a day-to-day basis. You have to think that the campus party, it's a co-working example. It lasts only a few days, so it's just a pop-up co-working, but you have pop-up co-workings like this happening in other cities, usually under the name of JET. But what you find here, you find a lot of people that don't necessarily know each other. They just come and spend a few days working side by side and getting to know others. And maybe, especially people in the hackathons, they're joining projects, and they are participating with people they don't know, building something just for the heck of it, just for the pleasure and the intellectual reward of building and doing. But you can see the crowd here, although there's some people that would probably fit in my space, and the attitude they have here is not exactly the same. And one of the things to take into consideration is that when you go to a co-working, when you're in your city, the best thing you can do is just try all the co-working spaces available. And just go, all the co-working spaces offer a free tryout, go to every single one, meet people and try to figure out if you would really enjoy staying there. Because we'll sit down, like Christophe has a different space, Olivia has a different space. You guys explain, I played with Peter first.
I don't think we are so different. So when I go to Madrid and visit Utopicus, and the founder of Utopicus, Rafa, shows me around, he always says, listen, this is Christoph, he runs the Utopicus of Berlin. And I'm like, no, I usually say this. So we are the beta house of Madrid. And so it's really hard to say, but what is interesting is, for me, I don't know, for me I can't judge about beta house because I go there every day and it's like it is. I don't know I can't actually describe differences to others, but I see like in Madrid, we are in Spain, it's in Spain and it's a totally different culture, and I think you can really quickly see the difference in a co-working space corresponds to the difference in the culture of the people there. And what's funny is, I was astonished when I went to Utopicus, there is a big bus station in front of it, and all the day there are coming buses through the streets, and nobody enters, and from I don't know what you mean, but so there is just really 5 meters from the bus to the entrance, and it's actually, in the beginning I thought like, okay, I can't work here because of the buses, but it's actually good because you feel in the middle of something, you feel like in the Spanish capital, and there are lots of people, and it's really so different from Beta House because in comparison with Utopicus, we are a calm space, I think. We are like really in the backyard of something, and that's for instance a difference. But in general, if people from Utopicus come to Beta House in Berlin, it's like they are home at Beta House as well. So anyway, so what do you think?
First, I'm going maybe to explain. I think, yes, the thing is that for us it was the same when we came 1 year ago to Beta house with Rafa was like, wow, that's incredible, but that was incredible. I really like, we were like taking ideas from you, you know, to apply it in Utopicus, and we did it. So I think you did the same, you know, when you came. But I don't know how was born Beta House, but the difference with Utopicus is that it was not born to be a co-working space. And that's really a difference because we have this kind of crazy thing in Utopicus. And that's why we are Utopic us that we are Utopic people. And that's the idea, because Utopicus was born like first to have a space to give new content to Madrid and do like cultural and art parties and things like that. And then like the place is really amazing, and some people came over to work, like artists and everything, and that's why finally we decided to call ourselves like in Spanish Usina de Transformación Creativa. In English it would be like a factory of creative transformation. So at the first time Utopicus was really focused on artists, but nowadays we have all kind of co-workers. But it's true that we are really like focused on art and culture and the idea of transformation, the idea of you have like to learn new things, a new way to learn and to see the art and the culture and the way to work. So we will see a little video of what's Utopicus. As you can see, in Utopicus, one of the great things is that we decided, like as we was not born to be a co-working space, we have a lot of other brands. Like we can call that brands. We have a bar that's called Moose. We have a school, the Utopic School. We have a gallery, the Utopic Gallery. We have art fairs that called Utopic Sundays, and that's the idea of diversification. No, and all that projects were born from co-workers, and that's the idea of the co-worker. The community is really participating in the co-working center. They are not just there to work; they are there really to enjoy, to collaborate, to network, but as well as to bring to the co-working space their content at the same time.
Because one of the things that you have